Alright guys, welcome back. So today I've got something pretty cool to share with you guys. It's a pistol that I've had for a little while now, done a bunch of shooting with it, had it at the range several different times. So today I just want to share my experiences with it, go over the gun, and talk a little bit more about it with you guys. But the gun I'm talking about is this guy right here. This is the Rock Island Armory full-size 1911. But this one is a little bit different than your average everyday 1911 that most of you guys are probably familiar with. And that is because this one is actually chambered in 22 TCM. And I'm sure there's a lot of you sitting there probably scratching your heads right now thinking, what is 22 TCM? I know I was the same way up until recently when I first got this pistol, when Rock Island Armory was nice enough to send this to the channel. So right off the bat, thank you to them for sending this out to try out and bring you guys videos and all that stuff. So big thank you to them. But yeah, I was scratching my head thinking, what is 22 TCM? It's a pretty unique caliber. It has some pretty cool characteristics to it. It is essentially what it is a 5.56 cartridge that has been cut down, reshaped to about a 9mm sized round. And because it is a 9mm sized round, this is actually a combo kit. When you order this particular gun right here, it comes with the 22 TCM barrel and a 9mm barrel, so you can swap back and forth and shoot which caliber that you want. So that's another very cool thing about this particular model here. But the real selling point, I guess, for the 22 TCM is out of this 5-inch gun, it gets 2,000 feet per second, which is crazy speed, for a 22 out of a handgun. So like I said, I was really interested to try this out and shoot it and see what it was all about. And I've spent a lot of time with it, blasted a bunch of rounds through it, and I got to say, it is a very unique cartridge. I took it out, and my first experiences with it, I kind of stood back and scratched my head. I was like, wow, that was different.
All right, so this is going to be the first 10 rounds of the 22 TCM through the Rock Island Armory 1911. So I've never shot this before, don't know what to expect, but we are going to find out. Here we go. Okay, so it ran the 10 rounds just fine, and I gotta say, that was different. Very, very different. The blast, and I could see fireballs, but the blast almost felt like I was shooting a rifle. I could feel a concussion come back and kind of hit me in the face as I was shooting this, but I mean, the recoil was almost non-existent. I don't know how well that's gonna come across on camera, but the recoil was almost non-existent, but it felt like I was shooting a rifle with the blast and the concussion and stuff. So that was different. But very low recoiling. It seemed like I was hitting the target just fine. But yeah, that was definitely an experience. So let's go ahead and shoot another 10. Here we go. Okay, so I can definitely tell I'm hitting the targets. I got steel targets set up at 12 yards. I can see it impacting and I can see it moving, but I just don't hear it. This is a 40 grain soft point, which is probably why I'm not hearing it. But again, man, that blast is like a rifle. It's very, very cool. But I'm gonna load up and keep shooting.
But as you just saw in the shooting footage of me putting the first rounds through this, it was different. It really was. The recoil was very non-existent, like your typical 22, but it had the blast and the concussion and the flame that came out of it was like you were shooting a rifle. It was, I had to step back for a minute, kind of confused. I was like, man, did I just shoot a pistol or a rifle? But yeah, it was different, and I really enjoyed it. The whole time I had this out at the range shooting it, it was a very enjoyable round to shoot. The caliber was very accurate.
Okay, so now we're going to see what kind of accuracy we can get here at 7 yards with the 9mm, and we are shooting the 124 grain arm score stuff. So let's just see what we can do here. Okay, so as you can see, I pulled maybe 2 of those, but overall, pretty happy with that group. Okay, so now let's do the same thing, shoot a group at 7 yards, but this time we're gonna shoot it with the 22TCM to see what kind of accuracy we can get with this one. So here we go. Okay, so kind of shot that one a little fast. Let me slow things down a bit. We'll shoot 10 more just to give the gun a fair chance. Okay, slowing it down a little bit definitely did make a difference. You know, the 9mm or the 22TCM, this thing's pretty accurate. I know that's probably hard for you guys to hear, but that's 50 yards. I think that was all 10 on target there. I've got another 10 rounds I'm gonna shoot, and then we'll go up there and take a look at it. But this thing is only throwing 40 grain projectiles down there, and I think they are soft points as well, so it's really hard to hear it, but I think we're getting hits. But I freshly painted the target before coming back here, so I'll shoot these 10, then we'll go take a look at it. Okay, so here's a closer look at the target we were just shooting at 50 yards. And let's go ahead and count our impacts. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. And that looks like 2 hits, so 15, 16. So it looks like I missed 4 times. I shot 20 rounds at it, got 16 on target. Not too bad for the first time shooting it at distance.
And again, as you probably just saw, shooting it at 7 yards, I mean, I was able to put a decent sized group together with those 20 rounds. No issues there. And also when I stepped back to 50 yards and put 20 rounds on that steel plate, I think I hit 16 out of 20 with ease. I mean, if I probably would have taken my time and you know, focused more on the sights and stuff, I probably could have hit 20 out of 20 at 50 yards, the first time ever shooting any type of distance with this. So it is a very accurate pistol. But not only was the round itself very accurate, but the gun had a lot of features and a lot of potential that helped the round be more accurate. It helped me be more accurate with the pistol, because this gun is really packed full of features. I mean, right off the bat you can tell it has a lot of your features that a lot of your high-end 1911s are going to have. You'll see that it does have a full Picatinny rail for adding any types of lights or lasers or whatever you want to put on it. It does have front serrations if you like to do press checks or anything like that. Plus, I think front serrations just make the pistol look a little bit better. Up here on top, you'll see that we do have a nice red fiber optic sight, and I know I've mentioned this in the last few videos, but the more I use these fiber optic sights, the more I'm becoming a big fan of them. When you're out there at the range, especially when it's bright sunlight out, this fiber optic really does stick out and get you on target really quickly. So I do like the fiber optic front sight. In the rear, it does have a fully adjustable rear sight, so you can really dial this thing in to get good accuracy out of it. So very nice sights on this pistol. Moving to the back, you're going to see that it does have a nice skeletonized hammer with a nice serrations on it to get a hold of it very easily. The beaver tail and grip safety on this thing is very, very nice. You do have a nice extended beaver tail, and the grip safety does have an enlarged memory bump on it, so it does give you a good purchase on the gun. It allows you to get really high up on the gun, again, to get a good grip on it and to help you shoot the gun a little bit better. Now the grips on this thing, again, aid in helping the shooter control the gun and be more accurate with the gun, stuff like that. The grips are a nice G10 material. They are in very nice color with the black and gray. I think it makes the whole gun look really, really good. But the texture on this is very grippy, so when you're holding on to the gun, it really does stick into your hand with these nice G10 grips on it. This gun is safe and empty because I am going to start waving this thing around, but the back strap does have nice checkering on it, and again, it just helps this thing stick into your hand and help you control it, and again, be more accurate with it. The front, I guess, is a little lacking. I wish they would have put serrations on the front as well, but they do have the vertical lines on the front strap, and in my opinion, if you're going to just put lines, put them the other way. That way when the gun's recoiling, you know, the lines will work against or work with your fingers and keep the gun from raising up. So I would have done this a little bit differently, but that's just a personal preference thing and just a minor critique. So moving on, it does have your ambi safety on this thing. So for you lefties out there, it is going to work out really well for you. Me personally, I like to just have it on the left-hand side, but I am a right-hand shooter. I guess I'm indifferent about it. I would rather it not be there, but it's there, not a big deal. But I just prefer to have them on the left-hand side. But the safety itself is very easy to use. It's not too hard to engage and disengage, but it does give you nice positive clicks, both going on safe and coming off of safe. So the safety works really well. The magazine release, I wish was a little bit more pronounced. I do have, you know, short fingers, small hands. I wear a size medium gloves, so I do have to shift my grip quite a bit to get to the magazine release. But again, this is just a minor critique, especially for my small hands. But if it was a little bit more enlarged, it would work a little bit better for me. But it does have some nice checkering on it, so you can get a positive grip on it when you are pressing the magazine release. The magwell on this thing, it does have a flared magwell on it, and it does help when you're doing fast reloads. I'm sure you've already seen in some of the shooting clips when I was out at the range, I was able to get these magazines in and out with ease, and that was thanks to this nice beveled magwell that they have on this thing. The magazines, mine came with 2 magazines. That's what they sent out to do the testing, but I do believe it only comes with 1 magazine when you get it, but they are 10-round magazines, and it works for both the 9mm and the 22 TCM, and it is a nice metal construction.
Okay, so you might be wondering how to change out the calibers on the Rock Island Armory 1911. And if you know how to break down a 1911, tear it apart for any type of cleaning or maintenance or whatever, anything like that, then you can change the calibers on this. It's that easy. You just swap the barrel, swap the recoil spring, and you've got a new caliber. So we'll go ahead and demonstrate that now. I've got the 22 TCM barrel in it now, but I'd like to shoot some 9mm. So what we're gonna do first, of course, is make sure there's no ammo in it, magazine's out of it. So we'll go ahead, and up here up front, you're gonna have your bushing. So you push back on the cap, rotate your bushing out of the way, and then you can pull your cap and your spring right out. Then from there, I'll just rotate the bushing to the other side and just pull the bushing all the way out. So from here, what you got to do is line up your takedown or your slide release with the notch on the slide. You got your takedown or your slide lock notch right here on the front. You got a little notch behind it. You just line that up, and out comes your lever. From there, just push your slide off of the frame. So we'll go ahead and set the frame to the side. We won't be needing that. Go ahead and pull the guide rod out, which is a full-length guide rod in this particular gun. Push the link forward, and then slide your barrel out the front of the gun, just like that. So now, to change things out, all we've got to do, take the 9mm barrel and reverse the process. Go ahead and slide 9mm barrel in. Now, one thing to note is the 9mm spring and the 22 TCM springs are different. If you can see that, the spring for the 22 TCM is a little longer than the 9mm, so just don't get that mixed up. So from here, we're going to take our guide rod, put it back in with the U-shaped notch over top of the barrel. Now we'll take our slide, or our frame, put it back over, flip the gun over, and look through the hole right here where your slide release goes. look down in there and make sure you can see the link that's on the barrel. Just make sure you look through there, make sure that's flipped down. When it is, push your pin through. Again, line your notches up and then push it all the way through just like that. Pull the slide forward and put the safety on so your slide doesn't try to come back on you. So what I'm going to do now is go ahead and reinsert the bushing just like that and rotate it all the way out of the way right there. Drop our spring down in, take our cap, depress it, pull our bushing back over, and snap it into place. And there we have it. We got the 22 TCM barrel out, 9mm barrel in, the caliber's changed, and now we can have some fun with 9mm.
Okay, so now let's talk about the TCM round itself just a little bit more. More specifically, compared to the more traditional 22 long rifle round that I'm sure pretty much everybody out there that's into guns has experience with or has at least shot once or twice in their lives. So how does it compare to the standard 22 long rifle? Well, I took this pistol out to the range along with my M&P 1522 to do a little comparison, a scientific comparison between the two. So let's take a look at that footage.
Okay, so now we're about to get super scientific, and by that I mean we've got a couple water bottles and a couple tomatoes set up at about 10 yards. And we're gonna shoot them with 22 long rifle and the 22 TCM. So like I said, pretty scientific. But the 22 long rifle, we're gonna be shooting it out of this Smith & Wesson M&P 1522 that has a 16-inch barrel. And we are shooting some Federal 40 grain. And then of course the 22 TCM out of the Rock Island Armory, and we're shooting the 40 grain 22 TCM. So I guess we'll start off with the water bottles and the 22 long rifle. So I've got a camera set up on the targets as well, and I'll probably put it up here in the corner, I guess. Yeah, let's go ahead and see what we get with the 22 long rifle on the water bottle. Okay, not too much destruction. Now let's see what the 22 TCM does on the other water bottle. Interesting. Definitely more destruction with the 22 TCM. So now let's switch back to the 22 long rifle, and we're going to shoot that tomato just to see what it does. Here we go. Okay, not too much destruction. And again, the 22 TCM. Much more destruction. I tell you what, that was so much fun. We're gonna finish off that tomato that we shot with the long rifle. So here we go. So, we did have the first malfunction with the 22 TCM. It did not chamber. I don't know if I was holding my hand here by the slide stop, so I don't know if I actually locked that back or not, but we'll keep an eye on that. But as you can see, the 22 TCM out of a 5-inch barrel, 40 grain bullets in both of them, and the long rifle out of a 16-inch barrel at 10 yards, the 22 TCM definitely has a lot more destruction to it at this yard. But again, like I said, this is not a scientific test, of course. This was just for fun, just to see what kind of destruction we can cause with the 22 long rifle and the 22 TCM.
Okay, so as you probably could tell, it definitely was not a scientific test. It was just a fun test that I wanted to do to compare the two rounds, the 22 TCM out of a pistol and the 22 long rifle out of a rifle, just to see, kind of compare the two, see what kind of damage it would do to some water bottles and tomatoes and stuff like that. And as you can see, the 22 TCM definitely packs more punch, it packs more energy, and definitely did a lot more damage than the 22 long rifle out of a 16-inch gun, so that was pretty interesting. Alright guys, so that's going to wrap up the video on the Rock Island Armory 22TCM 9mm combo 1911. And all in all, I think this is a fantastic handgun. If you're looking for a 1911, but you want to get something a little bit different, a little bit unique, something that you don't see every day laying on the shelves at your local gun shop, I highly recommend taking a look at this one. You know, the 22TCM caliber, before I got this gun, before I started doing the testing on this, I wasn't really sure how I was going to like it. I didn't know really what to expect, but after I have experience with it, after I've taken it out, shot it, had some fun with it, I gotta say it is a very fun gun to shoot, a very fun round to shoot. It's very low recoil, soft shooting, flat shooting, very accurate, and you know, get 2,000 feet per second out of a 22 round, with a 22 round out of a 5-inch gun. I mean, it has a lot of features that I think would benefit a lot of people. So it's something I think you guys should at least look into to see if it's something that might fit your needs. And like I mentioned, it also comes with a 9mm barrel. So if you don't want to shoot the 22TCM, you can pop it out, put your 9mm barrel in, and you know, have some cheap fun out at the range shooting 9mm. So it definitely has a lot of advantages. And like I mentioned, it's packed full of features. And overall, I think it's a fantastic handgun. But anyhow, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. And if you have any questions or comments about this video or anything else you see here on the channel, ask those in the comment section below, and I'll do my best to get back with you. And before you take off, make sure you do check the description box. I got a ton of stuff listed down there. I've got links to channel sponsors, social media links, a link to my new website, and I'll also have the Rock Island Armory and Armscore website listed down below, so you can go over there and check out this pistol and all the other stuff they have to offer. So always check the description box before you take off. And again, a huge thank you to Rock Island Armory for sending out this gun for a review, and Armscore for supplying the ammo to make this review possible. So big thumbs up to them. Go check their websites, browse around, see what they have to offer. And as always, guys, I appreciate each and every one of you guys watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.